Good morning. This is Angela with today's A Cup of Tea. So yes, I'm back in my office for this week. It is Thanksgiving in the United States. I have a lot going on in my house, so it's easier for me to just do these back here. So another change in perspective, another change in viewpoint, and I'll have to find some other spots in my house too. Anyway, today's topic, we're doing more on letting go. And I know I've talked about it in several different contexts through my different webcasts, but there are so many, and my understanding is that it is one of the most important things for us to learn on this path of spiritual evolution and spiritual enlightenment. And so it's going to come up again and again. And more times than not, I personally find that I am letting go to move forward. And it's really funny because we don't even realize how much we're trying to control in our lives. We don't realize how much the ego has developed this expectation for what is in our lives and for what we want to have in our lives. Now, I'm going to go back to the fact that I want to talk about this. Many times when people use the term ego in the spiritual sense, it sounds like a bad word. And it's not bad. In fact, we don't want to eliminate the ego as much as we want to assimilate it fully into all levels of our consciousness. The ego is the I am part, the I part, the individual part that we've created. And what's happened, though, is through this existence, the experience has been that the ego in general has ruled our actions and beliefs and the way we have our experiences here on the earth plane at the 3D consciousness. So what's key to know is that when we do this work, it's key to say, okay, I'm going to assimilate the ego to be of equal power and to be completely assimilated and integrated with all other parts of my consciousness, because it's still valuable too to some degree. So I'm going to go back to this. But what has happened is the ego has really gotten into this really, vice grip of control over our actions and our beliefs here on Earth. So it's time for the ego to let go. It's time for us to let go. It's time for us to say, hey, you know what? Our higher self, my higher self, knows exactly what's going to be the highest and best. What is the ultimate highest and best path for us, with the most grace and ease, without trauma, drama, or illness, and with balance and harmony and joy and fun and all that stuff. And I know that I connect in, and so I trust that every time that I trust my higher self, it does work out that way. So every time that happens, I trust it even more. And then there's a point of getting to, I am letting go of what I expect this to look like in the way it'll turn out to be for my highest and best. That is what we're keying in on today. Because there are so many expectations that we have tied into our lives that we don't even realize what they are and where they come from. Expectations on what marriage is, on what relationships are, on what parenting is, on what being a child is, on what being a friend is, on what being a worker is, on working, on making a living, on where you live, there's so many things, these expectations. And where do they come from? They come from, in many cases, all these others around us. These things that we have put in place to disempower ourselves, to put up these walls and say, hey, you have no power of this. You have to do this. How many times have we heard that from our families? No, you should go to school and become this to make this, because you want to make this kind of money. Well, so why do you want to make this kind of money? That's the question to ask. Why is it important to make that kind of money? Oh, so that you can have a big house, so you can do this. So what it comes down to is so that you can feel worthy, so that you can look worthy to the others in your family, which then makes you feel worthy or makes them feel like you're worthy. And the key is, Why does it matter what other people think of you? I've talked about this I don't know how many times in these webcasts, and I talk about it all the time with others that I work with. It is one of the biggest things I've had to work at when I started doing this work, is to remember that it is none of my business what other people think of me, because what other people think of me is their issue. What other people think of you is their issue. It's not yours. And when you take that on, what you're doing is you're taking on their issues and making it yours when it's not your issue to begin with. The issue is, why do you care what they think? Because then behind that tends to be, well, that would mean that I'm worthy of their love, that I'm worthy of whatever, being employed by them, I'm worthy of having affection. And when you get back to understanding and believing and trusting that Creator loves us unconditionally, that we are part of this universe of unconditional love, that is my understanding of what is the only absolute in this universe. That is my understanding of what it is just love. It just is. So it doesn't go away. We pretend it does. We pretend to believe it does. And we have all these filters and these veils in place of that, oh, we have to work to be loved. We have to do this to be loved. We have to be married to be loved. And so we've created all these institutions, and we've created all these boxes and all these expectations. And the funny thing is, they're different from culture to culture because of what the general population thinks and has decided is what should be expected, and what a good person looks like, and what a good life looks like. So this is a really deep level of letting go. This is a really deep part of it. Because so many times we get hung up in, I have to do things this way, I have to make this much money, I have to have this kind of house. And then what happens is, if it doesn't really work for you or us at the moment, what happens is then we go out of our way, then we panic and let the ego take over, and then the ego makes these decisions because, again, it's on that playing board, it's that pawn that can only see what's right around it. And says, well, we need to get a different job, and we need to make this amount of money, and this is what makes us feel worthy, because this is what makes us a real person. Really? Because, something that caused me to leave corporate America to begin with was how many hours I had spent slaving away at what I was doing. And I had progressed up the corporate ladder pretty quickly, and I looked at people above me, and I realized they had no life. They had nothing was their own, because it was everything was tied to their company, including their self-worth, including their perception of how important they were, because that was a very egoic thing. And this was well before I was even in this work, but I just felt like this is wrong, because you know what? Put this together. If I transitioned out of this world tomorrow, the company would be the company. It would move on. It would find somebody else. But, the people I loved in my life, well, that would change. That would change them. That would change their lives. And if I transitioned tomorrow and I had spent 80 hours a week doing this job, and I'd missed all the beauties of the world around us and all the beauties of what is around me in my life, because I was so focused on something, because I felt like it made me worthy of the world to look at me in a certain way. How worthy really is that? So this is a really, it's an interesting level of letting go. And like I said, it's really deep, because when we let go of saying, I have to have this kind of job, I have to have this kind of house, it frees us so much in such a large way. And many times saying we have to have something is what holds us back from actually getting something even more, getting something even bigger and even larger, and making it even greater, because we are so trying to control the details of how we're going to get there, how we're going to get to this. And we think that if we do this, we have to do this. And sometimes we just totally ignore this other path that ends up in the short term looks like it's going to be more challenging, but in the long term is so much freer and so much more expansive that it's even further on than we would ever have imagined. So, and then I'm going to let you go. And the clearing for today, I want you to clear your minds, take a deep breath. And the clearing for today is about letting go. And it's to release all, to have Creator release all beliefs that have to do with managing all the details and controlling every detail of getting to where your heart and soul sings, and to get Creator's truth and understanding on what is going to make your heart and soul sing, perceived versus actual, and to give the teachings to the ego as well, and to clear all that out, and to clear, resolve, dissolve, release and clear and release all etheric agreements that we have that cause us to have those beliefs, that cause us to act that way, that cause us to try to control all the details in our lives in getting to our highest and best and most positive path. So, and everything related to that, so we're going to clear it out at the cellular level, we're going to get rid of all the energy and memory of that, and we're going to download the belief of I can get to my highest and best, most positive path without controlling all the details, by letting go, and to know how to let go to our higher selves, to the expanded universe, to our guides, and trust that they will get us to our highest and best, most positive path without trauma, drama, or illness, and with grace and ease and balance and harmony, joy and fun and excitement, and adventure whenever appropriate, and all the feelings on how to do that. So, and then we're going to clear the history, resolve all of it, thank everyone involved for the lesson, and then we're writing it off as completed. We're clearing the history lines in all directions, and all you got to do is clear your mind, take a deep breath, and say yes, letting go. Thank you. So I'm going to let you go. Wow, gone over. Have a great one. We'll see you later in the week. This is Angela with today's Cup of Tea.